Hello and welcome to another edition of the Low Code Campfire. This is the edition number 92 from April 7, 2023, where we talk about beta begins. I am Dale Warner, your host for today, head of support for Plantain App. This is an event we do every Friday, even Good Friday, and it's a gathering where all skill levels are welcome. Come and talk about low code in general, Plantain App in specific. All of our events are recorded and put out on YouTube. So youtube.com/plantainapp is where you can find all that good information. When we have a full crew, we do this agenda. We introduce and say hello around the and then we go around the campfire and we'll do first call and other things like reviewing our feature requests or taking a look at our community website. And then we go into an Afterglow segment where we turn off the recording and have a conversation about this or any other topic you want to engage in. But do jump in and engage. If you have noise going on behind you, please mute. And you can submit questions and topics in advance using this QR code. Hello, Mark. Quiet day.
Hello, I'm amused to see it's just the two of us right now.
Well, I wasn't sure what to do. I've never had it happen before. You were a couple of minutes into the thing. Patrick is out, so he was taking a vacation this week, and so yeah, just you and me. Have I been muted this whole time?
I hear you.
Have you heard me this whole time?
Yes, I've heard you the whole time.
All right, good. There was a message from Zoom saying, hey, you're muted. And I thought I'd been talking to myself. Okay.
So it can be up to you if you want to continue or not. I didn't have anything that I needed to ask questions about. I'd be interested to see more about the beta. I haven't installed it yet, but I plan to very, very soon. But
well,
you know,
yeah, I think it's up to you as well. There's a couple of things that we could do. One is to take a look through the features on that and see what it was, see if there's any questions, something worth diving into. We could look at it together, but otherwise it's
well, if you're prepared to do something like that, I'm sure it would still play well for anyone who watches it later, and I would like it.
All right, well then, good. Yeah, you're the customer here, so if you would like it, we'll do it. I've set aside the hour. So let's this is going to be on community. Let me see if I can find yeah, beta program, see what it's going to tell me here. Currently running beta 1.5 version up and through the 16th. And items to check. Clear the filter. Okay, so we got a stack of things that are here on the list. Let's go through and see if there's anything worth detection after change when moving to another app builder page. So that's the don't lose your work option. This is a pretty narrow use case. It's trying to use Entity Builder on a small screen. Connection strings in the SQL Console, so that's interesting. I don't know what this is. Oh, the update screen. Grab 3 templates, create a guide. Delete. So how about I fire up a brand new and empty 125, and if there's anything that you want to dig into there, we can do it. We'll just work the list.
Okay, that sounds good. You know, in the last time you were on, I guess it was on Wednesday, maybe. You mentioned something about resource manager. Is there something changed in this beta with the resource manager? And I kind of don't really know what that is to begin.
Yeah, so that one is the files, the old site assets.
Yes.
I think it's also called resource manager, but that was just that if you had a multi-portal plant an app, and you have plant an app on one portal, and you didn't have an plant an app on another portal, and none of our stuff was activated before this bug fix. If you try to go to site assets, it wouldn't work. So whatever we were doing, there was a token that wasn't being resolved because on that other portal, my tokens wasn't functional, and then it wasn't running. So we switched. What it amounted to is my tokens. Once you use my token, does that make sense? First of all, what I said?
Yeah, that's fine. I got it.
Yeah, and we have switched our, as I understand it, we switched our my tokens licensing policy. Before it was if you're trying to use any of these tokens that we know about, we're going to let you use them even though you don't have my tokens licensed. And we flip that to say we're going to resolve our tokens, and if there's anything else that if you're trying to use any other tokens that we don't know about, we'll resolve them. The old license model didn't support well when they introduced new tokens in the platform, and now by default, new tokens coming into the platform get resolved. Anyway, this is Campfire number 92, and we pick where I don't know that there's any beta. This shouldn't take too long. Behind the scenes, we have a tool that lets us create new instances very easily, just a new My App. You probably have seen your version of that, being able to create a new app. So just getting one fired up here. There it is. Showed up. I was going to hang out for a few minutes and see if anybody came, and but it is kind of a record to have one person.
Yeah, it is. I don't think this has ever happened to me before.
All right. Yes, so we do have a 125 system. That's a good start. So this is ready to test. Any of these you want to pick, or you want to just start at the top?
Let's start at the top. You can cherry pick too if you think some are more interesting than others.
Oh, that's fine. Detection after change when moving to another app builder page. So the idea would be we start a new the new view of the API. Do a new API. Get started with automation. Apparently it's not built into our, it's not built into that. We do a new job. So it works from automation.
Mhm.
Let's say it's okay to leave. I think it's only in automation that, because APIs, I really would have expected it to. That's our, oh, yeah, we're in our new API view. Let's add an action here. I think our report would be that's going to be a no. I'm going to do one more test though, because we were working with a new API. So let's get our created entity. And actually, I'm going the long way around here. Trying to poke at it new versus. I'm actually going to create it and save it. Create input called in. We'll make something that really works. Well, I guess while we're here, we can check the. It doesn't seem to have the input parameters. Did I do that? Input parameters. We have one called. The explicit input. I didn't know if IntelliSense was going to pick that up. It doesn't, so that's interesting. It's that input. Well, that looks like a bug.
Looks like we're doing some beta testing.
Yes, we are. So this would be another report. Add a general bug. So APIs. I don't know. 9/11.
You had a general bug? I like that.
Zero.
Sorry about the webcam thing. I'm trying to get it working.
I assumed that was the case.
Yeah, just leave it off.
This is the input parameter. Add response raw response. Just to take that out, it works fine. So since we don't have, I'm going to transcribe this later, so I'm just going to read this out loud. So what we're reporting is when adding an input parameter, it's not recognized by autocomplete. Since it's not recognized, the autocomplete gives a warning message. The input was not recognized. So a valid token in the context is not recognized and results in being unable to save the API. Great, that's a pretty good bug. Didn't get us any closer to testing. Well, it did. We can still test. We could ignore this, the input, and we just do output. And if we test this, regardless of what we type, we get a response that says general output. So it's working, and we save and close. So now this is what's test get. If we go into this and make a change, any kind of a change, and try and go somewhere else, it doesn't stop us. So
Back to the bugs.
back to the bugs. Ports, add my result. No.
Did it? Were we supposed to test on APIs in particular or anything?
Well, it says area affected APIs. So it's that's where we were. So forming as expected, no.
So a couple of you guys that just joined us, we're just looking at the beta release right now. Testing some of the features that are in the beta.
Cool. Apparently everybody took Easter off though.
Yeah.
Yeah, for a while it was just me. Jim, actually, Mark was a minute late, and I thought I was just going to talk to myself for an hour, which I do on Wednesdays. I didn't want to do that again today.
Hey, I was there on Wednesday.
Me too.
Yes, and I appreciate you're there. I'm just saying, in the webinar format, it feels like I just talked for an hour. So. if nothing else, this is going to document how to use the beta software, right? What to expect.
Mhm.
So this is good. We got 2 bugs in today, and it's only 22 past the hour. Jim, Albert, if you have something that you want to do besides looking at beta, we're happy to take it up. But if not, we're just going to keep poking through these. So entity builder on narrow screens. Check whether the screen is usable on narrow screens. So if we go to entities and we need to narrow way down here. And so we, for example, have our test entity that I created. What they did was some of this content, when it gets too narrow, they've added a scroll bar down here at the bottom so that you can get to it once it's a narrow screen.
Oh,
So,
good. I've noticed that before, wanting a scroll bar down there.
Yep. So I would say that's a win. Checking report. Works as expected. We didn't.
Not so much of a beta test, but maybe an enhancement question. Is there a way to reposition where that scroll bar is, at the top of the grid or at the bottom of the grid? I noticed with long entities or like grids in general, where they're really long, you end up scrolling if you set the page length to.
Yes, and I've seen that, for example, within SQL Console. You run a SQL with a long result, the scroll bar is all the way at the bottom, the grid goes below the bottom of the page. So I would say that that is you could report it as a bug, but it's
Feature request?
I think it's more of a feature request, but
it really is, but it should be noted. I mean, I agree. Yep. But we need to go to SQL Console and test connection strings. That's going to be a challenge on this instance, so I'm going to have to move away. I have to leave that one alone because it's a hosted instance. Hard to get to the web config. Update functionality in the check the new update screen. What does it ask for? Just does it work? All right. So updates. Notice we've taken away the old UI. There is no old UI anymore. So we see we have our installed version. This is the stock stuff we've got. Release notes, which is good. We had an issue in our new screen where you couldn't see all release notes. The release notes aren't present here yet for 125, so that's but that's just because we're in beta. It took us to the right I think this is the right page. We just don't have them yet. Can we export our list of updates? Overview.
that looked like it was a different interface for the release notes.
It is.
Yep,
we used to have it installed as part of the package, and now it's taking you to our documentation site.
Okay.
So it looks like it's We got 20 things here in the list. And looks right, so that's good. Hot fixes, we don't have any hot fixes we can test. Change log. Just to going back to this other one, part of what we're trying to do is that when you're on, like we're on 125 now, you want to be able to peek ahead and see what's going to be on 126 before you install it. And so our changelog is showing you stuff for the current version 125. So this is going to be the mechanism taking you away from your Plant and App site to go look at our documentation. And so this gives us a central place to manage it. But this is still the notes that will relate to the version that you're in. So these things would be available in advance on the release notes when you're at 124. That's the, does that make any sense? This.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm going to click and it does do that, does it in a new tab. So that's good.
That bottom note is one, the app builder workflows. Is there a fix for that or something we do? I probably have old workflows.
So I think it, I don't think we have, the fact that it's listed here as a known issue tells me that we don't have a fix for it. So that's just saying if you're exporting from one of those older ones up into a new one, so between systems, that's going to break. And you just need to be aware of that. If you the ideal would be that you keep your, well, for workflows created below 116 and below. So this is kind of an ongoing problem. I know we have a ticket to resolve it, but I'm not sure when. Add-ons, let's install something here. What do we like? Oh, let's grab Stripe. So Stripe is now on our list. Look, it's over here. Stripe is no longer on this list. So I would say it worked. Let's see if we can find Stripe actions in the. Really expect to have a problem with this, but Stripe, we've got all our Stripe actions. So say that works. Just create a new form with the Bootstrap 3 layout. Okay. So let's create a contact form. It came in defaulted to Bootstrap 5. We now have Bootstrap 3. Notice we have legacy engine. This is the one that if you've previously, the default previously was called Bootstrap 3, which we're now calling Bootstrap 3 legacy engine. This is Bootstrap 3, the current engine.
So we'll continue to be able to use Bootstrap 3 as long as we use the right template?
For now.
For now.
Yeah, the general direction is that we're going to phase Bootstrap 3 out. But we recognize that a lot of people don't have Bootstrap 5 templates yet. So I think in July or so, it will have been a year since Bootstrap 5 versions, our Bootstrap 5 version was out and stable. So after a year, that's kind of when we start to look at those things. So you absolutely should be aware of and looking for Bootstrap 5 templates on your schedule. All right, so it's telling us that it's got two things on the same page, and this is probably two different things, probably because let's see what I've got here in my advanced appearance. I'm using Page Builder BS5, so I'm going to flip it completely to Bootstrap 3. So now we have no warnings, and it seems to be working. So we can create a new form using the Bootstrap 3 layout. Existing BS3 deprecated layout to the other layout and check the layout and workings. So this is a little tough. We don't have an existing one to be able to switch to, but we can switch to it and switch back. So let's give this a little bit of extra test here. There was a couple that I know, a couple of field types that can be a challenge, and that would be currency obsolete still exists, so we'll put one of those on there,
and a date picker.
Thank you. Put that on there. So we have functional. We have functional data. Doing our required, so it's working. We flip this to a Bootstrap 3.
What again is the difference between those two Bootstrap 3s?
So, yeah, the difference is that legacy engine obsolete is using the XSL template, and Bootstrap 3 is using the Razor template. So we had both of those, and what we're trying to get rid of XSL, I think, across the board. This is why. So they're being delivered by a different engine, right? So same, you should end up with the same result because the definition of the form is the same, but it's being delivered by a different engine. If one engine does something that the other one doesn't, that's where you're going to catch issues, right? The definition stays the same, but yeah, if we refresh this page, it's unhappy with the currency. So the currency field type is not supported by Bootstrap Razor. Actually, currency obsolete. So, hate that I can't copy and paste that, but there we go.
It also does that in the entity builder on the properties. You can't highlight them.
Yep, I think you can end up getting there on the entities. My experience has been you can get in there, but not. It doesn't work the way you would expect. So this is
I think that functionality there, Dale, that you're documenting before, the other than the message being different, it used to say that you just had to change to the regular currency. When I would move a form from 3 to 5, it would tell me that just change the currency type.
it probably did, but switching from one, I mean, that would be a nice way to do it, but what's responding in that case is the Bootstrap 5 engine.
Okay.
And now the Bootstrap 3, the new Razor engine, or the Razor engine, probably it's going to respond differently, and in this case it's erroring, right? So it would be nice if we gave a nice message, but yeah. So existing templates. Add a type. See obsolete. There, but fails. We need to do steps to reproduce. Oh, I guess we can save the error. Ah, oh yeah. I thought I hadn't hit failed. So we can fix this. Is it text currency? Save. Ah. And so here we get a nice message.
So what happens after you see the message? Are you allowed to go back and make a change before trying it again?
So yeah, you'd see this message and you would have to change it. You'd have to come in to edit the form and change it and go to the new picker. But it's forcing you. So this should be listed as a breaking change, that these two things aren't supported, right? Or that you'll be required to change the after you install this version. If you're using these deprecated items, now you can't use the new engine. Something I don't know how what we'll do with that. So this is the date and time deprecated. I guess it's not a breaking change because you're not forced to use the new template, but it is a change. And the thing is that, you know, it just requires a little bit of thinking when you do that, right? Because the new pickers have slightly different options, and you just need to do it and test it, and you get a slightly different look too, I'm sure. So, but it's nothing more than doing that to get the error message to go away. It should work the same. But when you make a change like that, it'd be something you'd want to test. I think that Google places. And this makes sense because it's not because I haven't configured it with my Google API key, but it's working with this Razor. This is a good error message, so I think that that's working correctly. Anyone think of something else to test in this switch over? All right, moving on. Create a new guide. Was it here? I don't know why it says configuration module on a page. I don't know that I get that. But let's try and do a new guide. So that could actually use a little bit of explanation. They're gonna be sorry they gave me this hour. This is going to trigger. Do it once. Stop it when we're done. It is going to get triggered when the user goes to, where is that? The PS3 page. Start when the page loads. Sure. Let's start with page load. Say no guide, we should be able to get it to stop. Add a step. Could have gone to interactive mode in the first place. And we're doing this on the BS3 page, so position is going to be, this is page. And element is app. No, I can't add a button. Supposed to be able to add a button, but you can add a button. So let's see what this does. Oh, maybe I have my logic backwards. Maybe I don't know how to make a guide. Maybe I didn't save the step. I'm going to remove this token-based thing just so I don't hurt myself intentionally. All right, I want it to be on page. Anybody noticed I don't do this very much? Save, there it is. I can't figure out how to save a step. Anybody see what I'm missing?
No, I really haven't done this before.
Can't add a button and I can't pick a step. Well, that was fun. Improved autocomplete. In automation and APIs. Try autocomplete can custom tokens, core tokens, tokens in the context. All input fields now support tokens. Which this is kind of the one that we reported a little while ago and didn't realize there was an issue. So we'll report it here as well. let's see, the action we were using before, that was log output. So we are doing, yeah, it's a test, so test colon name. So database tokens should generate columns and they're not. So it's the same kind of issue, right? Things that aren't, if it was obvious, like if we had created it in the context, we created a token called ABC with the value of ABC. We could use it here. We could use it here in this. Whoops. Copy that. So it's here. The IntelliSense is getting it. Whoops. ABC, that works, but my database tokens aren't being injected into the context. Make sense? So I'll report that. We've hit our hour. Thanks for hanging in with me and watching me work with this.
And thanks for doing that, Dale.
Yep, it's definitely helpful to the effort that you guys spend in doing these, and which I will do as well. These reports before they get out it definitely helps us keep the product on track. Good. Let's.
Dale, is there an upgrade path from a beta to the final release?
Yes, the final release is going to show up as hot fixes in your beta, because our normal mechanism is that higher versions of things are going to show up in your hot fixes. There is a possibility. I mean, if we, I don't think that's I mean, from a dev system standpoint, I would think that would be acceptable, right? But from a production system, I would be concerned because potentially, if they find, for example, if they find something in the scripting that happens when you upgrade from one thing to another, from 124 to 125, and they fix it, you wouldn't get that scripting. So most things would work, but the best path would be to let us get through the beta and then apply it to an unupgraded system. Best case. Make sense?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Put another way, you'll probably be okay. But I'm not. If you miss something along the way, then it becomes a support issue, and I hate support issues.
You know, I've got a small number of sites they're just not released yet. I'm working on them, and I wondered if I could install the beta on one and continue working as well as doing the beta testing. You know, and if everything worked out, could I just keep going and get it up to the final version? But
exactly, yeah, and
yeah.
So it should be okay.
But
right.
Taking a chance.
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
Don't do it to all your sites. Pick one.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Thank you all. We're going to adjourn for a moment into our Afterglow section, and this is probably where I'll keep working on later on today. So thanks for putting up with me watching beta, and you guys have a great Easter week, and we will see you next time.
Thank you, Dale.
Thanks, Dale.
Thanks, Dale.